All right, there it was. Nintendo Switch 2 just announced. I'm going to review everything and just my general thoughts. Some things about me. My name is Zach. I've had all the Nintendo systems all the way back. I'm excited for Switch 2, but again, I'm going to talk about like the hardware, the games, the price, and everything. I'm just going to spitball everything right now. I just want to let you know what I think about it, some of the pros and cons, and just let's go. The hardware, again, more memory, great. I had an SD card before and I had no issues with memory, so it's not really solving an issue if you just paid 30 bucks for an SD card. Also, they let you use SD cards in the new one, but they make you use their own SD cards, which are probably more expensive than your current ones. And then from there, like it is a bigger form factor, 7.9 inches versus 6.2. Cool. I mean, bigger. It's not always better, but a little bit bigger screen would have been nice with this, especially if you're portable, whether you're on an airplane or on your couch. It's a little bit bigger. That is a nice addition. The LCD screen. So again, Switch 1 went from LCD and then OLED, and OLED was beautiful. What a big enhancement. And now they're going back to LCD. I get it. It's probably a better LCD screen than what it was before, but I don't know why they won't just go LED or OLED, darker blacks. Maybe they're going to do the same thing and charge another hundreds of dollars later for OLED. I'm curious how that screen's going to be. It is up to 120 frames per second, but I'm curious what games will run on that and how it'll look. Obviously, it has to be docked for that. I wonder what that frames per second would be if it's not docked. Something really cool, actually, two Switches can now play the same game. So instead of taking out the little Joy-Cons and you're all playing on these little Joy-Cons here and you're all like looking at this little screen, you can use two Switches. So if you're playing with a friend or you have the old Switch 1 potentially, two people can play on their own Switch with the same game, and only one person needs that game, which is super, super cool. So huge thing for local co-op. I think it's huge if you're on an airplane or playing. You don't have to, better kickstand. So the other kickstand was just like one angle. Now apparently you can like make it any angle you want. I'm curious how this is going to be. Again, it needs to be solid. It can't be like crap. So hopefully it is solid, because again, on airplanes especially, if the angle is kind of tilted, it's not great. It needs to be tilted more. Again, I'm thinking of airplanes because that's primarily where I use the Switch when it's not docked. And then the biggest news is the C button. Everybody's had theories and rumors. What's the C button going to be? It's a chat menu. The console has a microphone, and you can also have a camera attached if you want to buy that. They didn't go over the price of that, I don't think. It's probably going to be over $100 because I don't know. That's just a guess. But it looks really, really cool. So again, they didn't really have great chat functionality before, but it uses the microphone. It's supposed to be like noise cancellation, where they had a video of somebody with like a blender in the background, and this is in docked. I don't know how that's going to work. But again, some cool stuff. So you can just talk with your friends while playing Kart. They used Kart and Mario Party as a great example here. And at the bottom, you can have like 4 of your friends and you can kind of chat and talk with each other. You can also, I guess, share your screen with these little 4 things at the bottom. But I noticed in the video with Kart, it was like 8 frames per second. It was kind of like laggy and jaggy and kind of weird. So I'm curious how it's actually going to be. If it's that laggy, it provides 0 value. It actually kind of sucks. So if it's better than that, it could be really cool to be playing like that wireless with your friends. The camera is cool. It can kind of like cut you out and like put you in like you're kind of like a headless video. And you can see it at the bottom, or it kind of insert it into Mario Party. So you have your like Mario, but you also have like your face and you're kind of like jumping and stuff. It looked really cool. It looks really simple to use, really intuitive, unlike some of the other platforms with mic. So this is super, super cool to interact with your friends. I don't do it too much, but maybe I'll do it more because it has this. So again, that's what that C button is. It stands for chat. So let's get into games. So games, first of all, backwards compatible with all Switch games, which is great. And you can transfer all of your digital downloads to Switch 2. Obviously they had to do this. That would have been crazy if they didn't, but really, really cool. Also backwards compatible with like Switch, what do they call it? Premium, Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Kirby, all of those you can play on Switch 2. Some of them, it may have a little bit better graphics or performance just because of the higher specs. Something that's really interesting, they didn't talk about the specs at all for this console. The graphics looked a tiny bit better, but honestly, like the average gamer may not be able to tell unless you're doing a side-by-side comparison. I'm curious when that stuff's going to come out. Again, it's been, 8 years since the Switch 1 came out? You'd think the specs would be much, much higher. So some of the games I'll just walk through and some of my thoughts. Drag X Drive, right? They obviously wanted to show off this little mouse pointer thing you can do with the new Joy-Cons. And honestly, like, at first I was like, oh, kind of cool. And then the more I watched, I was like, that's not very cool. It's totally great. It has a Special Olympics type of vibe to it, but it still looks pretty fun. At the same time, like, my only thought I kept having was, do you need a table for this mouse? Like, do you have to like have a coffee table and like lean forward and kind of like play the whole game like this and then shoot and like, or can this work on a couch? Like the optical sensors or however it's going to work, If it's not working on a couch where you can kind of just like play on the couch or on your armrest, are people going to lean forward and have your back hunched over and just like play these games like Civilization and, that they announced? And I don't really know. So some questions there. It doesn't seem too comfortable. When you play video games, you're leaning on a couch. You're in weird positions. You're not like leaning forward to play this whole game the whole time. I can see that being kind of weird. Biggest news, obviously, they started this off with Mario Kart World. This looks sick. Better than I thought it would look. 24 players sounds incredible. Also, it's like, again, like they use the word world for a reason. They put these different tracks in different aspects of the world, which is a really cool way to think about it. But you can also apparently drive off the track. You can kind of go track to track and kind of just like veer off what is going to be over there. Can you veer off in the middle of a race? Are they super shortcuts? Do you get disqualified? I don't really know, but it's a cool concept. The game looks great. Obviously, all of their carts are fantastic. It looks super fun. It's bundled with it, obviously, and it's coming out at launch. I'm definitely going to get that. Kirby Air Riders also looks super fun. I guess this came out in GameCube. I never played it, but it's kind of weird because that's going to come out and it looks super cool, but is that going to compete with Kart? You'd think that they would only focus on like one big racing game. So I don't know how Kirby Air Riders is going to be or what it looks like. It was like a teaser. They didn't really show the gameplay or what it would look like. So I'm curious how that will affect cart sales or how that's going to be at all. The other biggest news came right at the end, DK Bonanza. So I was hoping for a Mario game or, something else. Super excited for this. Again, this reminds me of the old 3D platformer Donkey Kong 64, which was incredible, like with the wrap. By the way, where's the wrap? Why didn't they bring back the wrap? But again, it looks great. I'm sure it's phenomenal. I guess that is instead of a Mario 3D game, which I'm sure they will come out with eventually. Some other games, Metroid Prime 4 was already announced a little bit ago. That'll be for both systems. I don't know why anybody would get it for Switch 1 versus Switch 2. It looks really nice on Switch 2. Super stoked for that. Split Fiction is coming out. So the super new co-op game, I think from Take-Two. I heard that was amazing. Definitely want to get that. Hollow Knight Silk Song is supposed to be a really great sequel to Hollow Knight, which was really, really great when it came out. James Bond, everybody's like, holy shit, they're bringing back James Bond. They showed nothing. They're like, and then they just said coming later. Like they don't have anything. It's like somebody had an idea at a table to bring it back and they're like, put it in. And they haven't thought about it. They're also adding GameCube virtual games, which is super cool. F-Zero GX, one of the best racing games of all time on GameCube, is coming out. Stoked. The other games are kind of like letdowns, like Super Mario Sunshine, but you could have gotten that on the Switch with that like Mario pack they gave with 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy. So I already had that. Luigi Mansion, some other ones. I'm not super impressed. I think there's like stadiums, soccer stadiums or something. So it's kind of cool. They'll add more over time. Some of the letdowns that I was hoping for, I wish there was like a new Punch-Out. There are rumors of Final Fantasy IX remake. I've always wanted a Final Fantasy Tactics remake. They haven't really touched on those. They do want to put Final Fantasy VII Remake on it, but I played those already. So it is a little bit of letdown. Obviously, a new Mario is really fun, or a new Zelda. They had the Hyrule Warriors too, but I don't know. So again, those are the games. To finish this off, price, $450. Okay, like I forgot what the old Switch was, 300. I get inflation, everything. 450 is a lot, especially for something it still feels like an iteration. You can buy a bundle for 500 with Mario Kart World, which obviously is great because apparently Mario Kart World is going to sell for $80. So are all these games gonna be $80 now, going from 60 to 80? That's insane. Are we gonna pay it? Hell yeah, we're gonna pay it. But it kind of feels like a cash grab. It's like, just go up to 70. Is it? I don't know. 80 is a lot. It's gonna come out June 5th. So you could pre-order, I guess, now or soon or something for June 5th. I'm sure there'll be a shortage. Everybody's gonna get it. And again, in the end, it feels like an iterative update. The chat feature is super cool. We know nothing about the specs besides it's better, I guess. There are some cool launch games. Mario Kart World looks great. DK Bonanza looks great. I don't know if I'm going to get it right away, to be honest, because there's not a ton of games I would play. I may wait either a year for a sale or for additional games like a Mario. But again, I am going to get this no matter what. It's just a little more. I wish there were some more games. But again, there's my Switch 2 launch review. But thanks a bunch. If you want, subscribe below or like it. It'll really help. And I appreciate you. Thanks.